Welcome back to our Bible teaching on 1 Corinthians, and of course we're in chapter 12, and we're in the broad section that we dealt with last week in part 1, which is from verse 11 to 27. Now we only really got down to around about verse 21, so I'm going to read from verse 21 down to verse 27 today and complete that section. So 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 21, "The eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be feeble are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honourable, upon these we bestow more abundant honour. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. For our comely parts have no need, but God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honour to that part which lacked, that there should be no schism or division in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another. And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it, or one member be honoured, all the members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Christ, and members in particular." And, well, verse 28 is the next section, "But God has set some in the church," and we'll deal with that in the next recording. So in this section here, we've been thinking about the church that is pictured in a body. Now, the church of Christ is made up of every Christian. Now, that's different from the local church, which is made up of Christians who gather in that local church or with that local assembly, not a building, of course, but a congregation of people. So the local church is a miniature, if I could put it that way, of the body of Christ. The local church is seen as being an exact replica in many ways of what the body of Christ is like. So that's why in verse 27 it says, "Now you are," and many translations miss out the definite article and say, "Now you are body of Christ," in character, and members in particular as in individuals. So I've been thinking about the interdependence of one upon another, of the gift that God has given to the church. So we thought earlier in verses 15 to 17 that no one part is superior to the other. When you look at yourself, you have no right to feel superior in relation to someone else, because we learned earlier in the chapter that the Spirit of God dispenses and gives out gifts as it pleases Him. So we can't dissociate ourselves from the body because we don't like the role we've been given. That's in that section 15 to 17. God has set members in the church as it has pleased Him. We see that in verses 18 to 21, and that statement is made in verse 18. So as we come into this section, as we look at others, verse 21, "The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of thee." So this isn't so much me looking at myself and feeling inferior or superior, but as I look at others, I can't discard others because I don't appreciate their role. So you cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, the head to the feet, I have no need of you. And we're going to learn that what God has done is He has put greater significance on seemingly unimportant or feeble parts. So verse 22, "Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble," and that is the idea of weaker or strengthless, "are necessary." So I suppose if you illustrate it with your thumb or your big toe or some parts of your body that seem to just have not as much significance, don't seem to have the same strength or power, but actually they have great significance. They're really important and valuable. So he's talking about those that are more feeble in verse 22. Then in verse 23 he talks about those who are less honourable, those members of the body which we think to be less honourable. So that is comparatively, we look down upon them. So if you think about, your feet are not the nicest thing in the world, so you put shoes on or you put something to cover them, and the parts of your body that you don't want other people to see, so you dress and you make sure you look good, and so you dress up and cover those less comely or parts of your body that you don't think are as presentable. I think that's probably also true of internal organs that would not be pretty, would not be nice to look upon, but vital as far as their function is concerned, as far as the body's concerned, the heart and the lungs and those whole lot of other internal organs that are absolutely vital. So verse 23 is saying there are those members of the body which we think to be less honourable. Upon these we bestow more abundant honour. And so really we clothe ourselves in ways to give more abundant honour. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness. Now what we're really saying is God is balanced. Verse 24 is really saying God has balanced functionality with beauty. When it comes to the physical body, our comely parts have no need. In other words, the pretty parts, the good looking, but your eyes, your hair, not in my case, but you know what I mean, those bits that are more obvious and more pretty, God has no need to dress, you have no need to dress them up and to make them appear to be more honourable. God hath tempered, God has balanced the body together. He's brought the body together, mixed it together, having given more abundant honour to that part which lacked. So there'll be no division. Now the point of this is, in a local church, that God has given everybody a function and a gift. And some things don't seem to be as essential to others, but God says they all have their part. And they're all essential. And there should be no division. And verse 25 is teaching there should be no division. And there should be mutual care. The same care one for another. And the body works together because God has allocated everyone, set members, everyone in the body as it has pleased him. These are really important truth, what people would call body truth. Really important. Every sister's important. Every brother's important. The function God has given to every part of the body is vitally important. There's not one bit more important than the other because it's more prominent, because it's more seen, because it seems to be a better kind of work to do. No, every part. And God has balanced functionality with beauty things that are prominent and things that are not seen. God has balanced their need amongst God's people. So that sister that sits and prays her heart out for you is a vital part of church fellowship. That brother that does stuff that no one knows about, that he's a help in the local church, that works for the good of that local assembly, that local church, he's absolutely vital. That young person that maybe would never be seen dead, we would say, standing on a platform or preaching in the street, but does a major work for God with people and draws alongside people and shows them generosity and gives them strength and serves God's people. You'll read about all those gifts in Romans 12. These are vital parts of God's people. And the whole point that God has balanced it this way, there'll be no division. There should be no division. There should be the same care one for another. And that should be seen in how we handle each other. So verse 26 says, when one member suffers, we all suffer. When one member is honoured, we all rejoice. The honour of one person is not exclusively theirs. They represent the church. We're going to learn about this in chapter 14. When men rise to pray, when the prophet spoke, or when the Bible teacher teaches, he's representing the church of God. When a man rises to pray, he's not praying for himself. He's standing on behalf of the people. When someone is honoured amongst God's people, the whole church is honoured. When someone suffers, well, we suffer with them. And so we are the body of Christ. We represent it. We are the church of God. We are the body of Christ in character. And the local church represents the whole. And we are members in particular, and we have been brought together. You can't have a body without individual members. And every individual member of the body is essential. And so it is with the church of God. May the Lord help us to understand and appreciate these things. May the Lord help us to value what God has given to us and to others. May we honour those that don't seem as prominent, but God has given them a vital role to play. May we care. May there be no division. May we have mutual care and concern one for another. May we weep with them that weep, rejoice with them that rejoice, and we may learn to appreciate the body truth, the body of Christ, and as that is seen working in a local assembly context. May God bless his word to you.